Ukraine repels 16-hour Russian-North Korean infantry assault in Kursk Oblast. Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade has repelled a prolonged, multi-pronged infantry attack using combined arms and inflicting heavy losses. The Russian army has again deployed North Korean military personnel in assault operations in Kursk Oblast. According to the Ukrainian Army's 47th Mechanized Brigade press service, the brigade's units, together with adjacent formations, halted a massive assault on Ukrainian defensive positions in Kursk region, where the enemy employed new tactics. The brigade says that while the enemy previously conducted assaults using armored vehicles, this time the attack involved infantry exclusively. Earlier reports suggested that Russia, facing heavy equipment losses, has resorted to using civilian vehicles and even donkeys for logistics and assaults. The Russian-North Korean combined forces began assault preparations and movement to positions late at night. The assault itself started at midnight and continued throughout the night, with the Russians and North Koreans advancing simultaneously from several directions in large infantry groups, the 47th Brigade says. The infantry attacks came in multiple waves, which were destroyed by artillery and drones, according to the report. The assault lasted approximately 16 hours, after which Ukrainian defense forces repelled the enemy attacks. The 47th Brigade engaged all its units and available weapons to repel this assault. Both artillery with cluster munitions and combat armored vehicles, including Bradleys, were employed against the enemy. During this assault, the enemy suffered significant casualties, amounting to at least a company-sized unit of personnel. Earlier reports indicated North Korean military personnel resumed participating in assaults on Ukrainian Defense Forces positions in Kursk Oblast after previously withdrawing from front lines due to heavy losses. The president of Ukraine stated that fighting on Russian territory has significant importance as it has tied down approximately 60,000 Russian troops in Kursk Oblast. The redeployment means these forces were not redeployed to Pokrovsk and other areas of Donetsk Oblast. Previous battle footage, North Korean troops wiped out in brutal attack as Putin acknowledges Kursk blow. 2 North Korean APCs can be seen trying to move along a road running parallel to a river, moments before the drone unleashes its payload. A video posted to social media channels by Ukraine's army shows the dramatic moment a North Korean armored personnel carrier, APC, was obliterated in a lethal drone strike. The Kremlin dictator is desperately trying to regain Russian territory seized by Ukraine early in August. However, his army has encountered fierce resistance from opposition troops, who have reportedly launched a new offensive in the border region. North Korean contingent has sustained massive casualties since their deployment to the front lines in the western border region. In the latest video from the battlefield, 2 North Korean APCs can be seen trying to move along a road running parallel to a river. One of the vehicles is picked out by Ukrainian drone operators before being hit with a precision strike. A huge ball of flames engulfs the armored vehicle before it disappears under a thick cloud of billowing black smoke. A precise strike by Ukrainian forces hit an armored personnel carrier used by North Koreans in the assault. The occupiers seemingly believed that the armor would protect them from drones. On Friday, the Russian president admitted that his army was facing a very difficult situation in Kursk, following reports that Ukraine had launched a new offensive. Russia's Ministry of Defense said Kiev had deployed 2 mechanized battalions, tanks and armored vehicles about 10 kilometers, 6 miles from the border to the southeast of the Ukrainian-controlled town of Sudzha. Reports suggest the Ukrainians succeeded in breaking through Russian lines and advancing up to 5 kilometers, 3 miles. In a striking escalation, Russian forces introduced thousands of North Korean soldiers to amplify the Russian counteroffensive in Kursk. However, the deployment of new forces presented unexpected obstacles, from limited communication with Russian units to absence of experience, creating critical vulnerabilities in the Russian campaign. The deployment of North Korean troops in Kursk serves a dual purpose. The first goal is to prevent the reassignment of Russian forces from critical areas along Ukraine's front lines. It is important to note that at least 30,000 Russian soldiers have already been redirected from multiple points on the front to stabilize the situation in Kursk. The second goal of the North Korean contingent is to support Russian efforts in meeting a new deadline set by Putin to retake the Kursk region by February. North Korea possesses one of the world's largest and most skilled special forces units. Historically trained for infiltration operations in elevated rugged terrain, North Korean Special Operations Forces are well prepared for such missions. The Korean Peninsula, especially the area around the demilitarized zone, features challenging mountainous landscapes, providing North Korean forces with extensive experience in navigating and conducting operations across difficult topography. Some suggest the troops will concentrate on an offensive in the northern sector of the Kursk salient, aiming for a focused and operational impact. Others argue that, due to limited real-world combat experience, North Korean forces are unlikely to be a game changer. Instead, these troops may be spread across a wider area, primarily used as standard cannon fodder to soften up Ukrainian defenses.